Welcome to Ion Franchising, where you will learn the A to Z's of... Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Ion Franchising. I'm your host, Lance Graulich. And you know, October is all about women in business. Well, guess what? Have another great episode featuring an amazing woman that has just taken the franchise world by storm. So, all right, so this is how this whole thing played out. She was a nurse, or going to nursing school, I should say, and following her passion. And somehow about 11 years ago, she got roped into the family business, and she's never looked back. So she's held many roles in this family business, and she feels right at home in the HR department. Managing people, the most important aspect of any business. We're going to hear all about it today. Welcome to the show, Miss Meghan Pfenninger.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Miss Meghan, well, welcome and good morning, and excited to dive right in. So we're going to start with, I guess, what I call the obvious. How did this whole thing come about? I gave some highlights, but let's go back a little bit. What was your intention when you were going through high school? And, some people, maybe you always wanted to be a nurse since a young age, and let's start with all that. I love to follow people's passion and purpose.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy because, you think you have this plan in life. And I always say, nursing, Ziebart, totally different. How the heck did you end up here? So, growing up, I was always so naturally just passionate about the health industry and specifically the nursing field. So my whole life, you could not tell me different. I was going to pursue becoming a nurse, and eventually my goal was to become a physician's assistant. And I did just that. I went to my local community college where they offered a nursing program, and pursued all my courses there to apply to my program. And through my college tenure, I obviously needed a part-time job, or wanted a part-time job as well. And I eventually ended up asking my father, who is the majority owner of our Mattiacio group franchise for Ziebart. And I had just approached him on a whim, just saying, Dad, is there anything that I could do at Ziebart while I'm still pursuing college and finishing my courses here? And of course, being my dad, he says, absolutely, I have just the position for you. And it led me to a customer service position at our first location for Ziebart that my father owns, which was our Lyle Avenue store. And I just always say I remember it like it was yesterday, because it's still like the shock factor that here I am 11 years later, that I'm here at Ziebart when everyone thought I was going to be a nurse. And it still blows my mind till this day. So I always say, I'm glad I pursued my courses and finished school. I always say you got to wear this your whole life. You should absolutely know about it. So I'm glad I did. And I just instantly fell in love with the industry, specifically the automotive industry, the pulse of the day. It was just ever changing. I got to see the latest and greatest vehicles, bikes, RVs, the products, and the people were just so fun and exciting and progressive. And I fell in love. And here I am 11 years later, and been able to pursue a lot of other positions and roles within the company, which I think is absolutely very important, being a partner here, just because it's allowed me to have so many different perspectives and learning experiences within Ziebart. So, because I'd like to always add too, that my father never forced these positions on myself or anybody, like my brothers or other business partners. He really wanted us to just do what we loved. And I always make that very clear, that we all paved our own pathway here, and he was never forced. And I've learned a lot. So now I'm currently planted in human resources. This is where I feel like I can be most impactful, really advocate for our employees, continue our mission and values, I still want to learn how to put my own remote car starter in. I'll do that someday next too. But.
So let me, I have so many questions. So let's start with, for those that don't know, so Ziebart. Ziebart is the franchise. Dad has been in Ziebart 30 years now. You have 9 locations. Describe for the audience that might not know Ziebart. I'm originally from New York, so we were a Ziebart customer as a family on a fairly regular basis. So share with me a few of the highlights of what Ziebart does.
So Ziebart, the best way to put it is we are the experts of automotive protection. So anything automotive protection, we offer superior permanent products to the vehicle, specifically because Ziebart is a franchise, obviously, all over the world, just like McDonald's, even in China. There's a Ziebart in China. I do like to brag that we own and operate some of the most successful Ziebart stores in the entire world. Wow. And that's huge. And I'd like to take all the credit for it and say it's because we're great business people. But the reality is it's because of where we live. Specifically, I like to say we live in Rochester, New York. Most people don't realize this, but factory car warranties, most of them don't cover rust caused by road salt. Only Ziebart does. So,
yeah. So for those of you that are listening in Florida or any other warm weather state that never even lived where there's snow and salt on the roads, as I grew up in New York and went to college in upstate New York, I went to college in Oneonta, by the way. So I'm familiar with salt on the roads and a messy winter, but whether it's the undercoating on the car and all these different things, but everybody talks about rust. So, Rochester is where, the stores are, that general area, which you call Rustchester, which I've never heard. So that's a new one. And that's funny. It's really funny. New one for me.
Yeah. So I like to say, our success really has to do with, we have, the need is so high here for this automotive protection. Because of where we live, we sell very needed products year round. So because of that, it's really created this high level of success and just the need constantly year round for people to protect their vehicles.
So how did Dad get into this 30 years ago? What was Dad doing that he fell into this or decided? You were certainly a little kid then, and Dad's like, hey, I'm going to buy this franchise. And most people react like, what are you talking about? What do you know about that?
So that's a really great question, because actually currently what I do here is part of our new hire employee onboarding process. And I do like to share this story with our new employees because it's so much a part of who we are as our company, specifically the Mattiacio Group, and how we were founded. I think it's so important to share this story. And it starts with Tony Mattiacio, my father. So I always, share his story, and he loves that I do. So way back when, in the 1980s, I believe my father was around 23 or so years old. At that point, he, again, living in Syracuse, that's where him and his family are from, including my mom. But at 23 years old, my father had 5 kids. And I know what I was doing at 23, living a very different life. Didn't have 8 kids, let alone 5. But not only that, my mom had 2 sets of twins under 2 years old. So at one point, they had 4 babies in diapers at one time, under 2 years old. And for all the parents out there are no words. Like I always used to say, my mom, she's a saint. I have 1 child, and I can't imagine. So what am I getting at with this? With 5 kids, my father did not get the opportunity to pursue college. And he very quickly needed to find a job because he had 5 kids to feed. And he did just that. He found a place called Ziebart in Syracuse, and he very quickly learned how to do everything he could there: detailing, washing cars.
So he was an employee first.
Employee first. Yeah. Even installing sunroofs back in the day when you could do that. But that owner at the time, Rich Lester, was very impressed with this, young guy's work ethic and his hustle. And fast forward, there was an opportunity in Rochester, New York at the Lyle Avenue store to become a franchise owner of that location. So he was offered an opportunity to leave Syracuse, an hour and a half away from his family, which was a huge risk. I mean, talk about the odds against you. 5 kids, super young, no family support. It was very scary, but he took the risk and it paid off. So he loves when I share this because he likes, our employees to know that he understands where you're at. He was there too. And he's an entrepreneur who will never forget the opportunity that was once given to him. And he really wants to provide that same opportunity for everyone that we bring on within our company. And it's
such a great story, Megan. So with the Lyle Avenue store, did the gentleman that he worked for, did he sell him that location? Did he worked some sort of deal to sell him that location? Maybe he did some owner financing. Dad just had to put a few bucks down, that type of thing.
Exactly. In a nutshell.
Well, and look, this is a classic story. I see people all over the place. People call me, but I see posts on social media all the time about, I just want owner financing. Well, it's not that easy. And in this situation, what I love, it's always a trust thing. The people side of the business, as you know, is always the hardest and the most important. And, so when the owner of that Lyle Avenue store trusted your dad and saw his work ethic, he had no risk. He's like, this kid is amazing. This kid's got a lot to work for, kids and family and amazing work ethic. He's obviously going to be even more of a success than me. So I'm going to bet on him for sure.
So at that point, we were all still super young. I'm talking like diapers. So Lyle Avenue was my father's first location that he obtained. And then, fast forward throughout the years, here we are, 9 locations later. I always like to say it truly is the American dream. I mean, he took one opportunity with a franchise. And, I do like to add that, because before I had said, he was away from his family, he didn't have that support. But what's so important that people need to realize is that he had a different type of support. Although it was new, it was our other family, and that was Ziebart corporate headquarters. And they really just helped pave the pathway and hold his hand along the way, because this was all so new to him. And we contribute a lot of our success because of that relationship. I mean, talk about trust. I mean, from Detroit, Michigan to Rochester, New York, I mean, they just a phone call away. They really, really contributed to that. So
I love it. Yeah, I definitely talk to people about your future franchise family. Let's find you the right future franchise family to join. And that's what it is. It's not just the trainers or the corporate staff, it's the family of franchisees that you're around. And it's pretty amazing. So the story is fantastic. You said earlier something about nobody, well, this is my interpretation of it, and it's something that pops up a lot. You didn't expect to end up in a franchise, let alone an automotive franchise.
Right.
And that is the funniest thing about what I do as a franchise broker. Sometimes people look at me, if it's on a Zoom call, and I love Zoom calls because I get to see their face, like we're sitting at a coffee shop or something.
Right.
And they go, wait, an automotive franchise? What? I don't know anything about that. I said, that's okay. That's why you get into a franchise. They will teach you. Your skill set is transferable.
Yes.
So let's talk about your role in HR, because HR is truly, when I was in the restaurant business and restaurant franchises, the heart of the house, and was one of the expressions. But people are the most important asset of any business, and
Yeah.
certainly any franchise. So is that where the nursing became the HR? It's still taking care of people?
Yeah, I think that just is innate in me. It just comes naturally. So just kind of building off of that, what I just naturally love, but also being able to pursue other areas within the business. I personally just felt like it was just easy for me to be most impactful in this role. Specifically was continuing our mission and values, hiring in new employees and, just policies, all HR, which I am continuing my education in this area as well. I think that's so important, especially as a franchise owner, you should never, ever stop. You have to continuously pursue your education and career because things change so rapidly. I mean, what we just went through with COVID, I mean, that was crazy time. So HR definitely is where I'm naturally just most impactful. So that's why I pursue that area here.
So let's talk about Megan's tips and tricks, even if it's just one that you throw out there on the HR side, because everybody is talking about, how I find people today. Where are these people? How do I find them? How do I keep them? Let's talk about an HR secret from you.
First thing that comes to mind is fairness and consistency. And I feel like retaining employees right now is what we're personally really trying to just grow and do better at. It's just like customers. It's hard to get customers in the door sometimes. Like, how do you get these new hires in the door and retain them? And again, it's starts with leadership and training and development and just consistently training and hearing these employees and letting them know that there is opportunity for growth and advancement. And that seems to really resonate with people these days, is that yes, as far as having the competitive advantage, you might be able to start somewhere else at a higher rate of pay, but is there growth opportunity? Is there training and advancement opportunity? So I think that has been really resonating with people, that we can offer that. And but yeah, fairness and consistency across the board is key, making sure that we are hiring people solely based on their qualifications. And
fairness and consistency, when you brought that up, I smiled pretty big, because I remember when I was managing people in the restaurant franchise world, it's all about people leave people. People don't necessarily leave companies. They're leaving
right.
people. If somebody does not like their boss, they're out of there. Maybe not immediately, but they're charting their own path out of there as quickly as possible. So fairness and consistency, it's okay to have rules, but you better be consistent and you better be fair. So I think you hit it out of the park with that one, just my opinion. So,
yeah.
Good job. So talk a little bit more about the franchise aspects of what you've seen over the years in your 11 years there. And by the way, I think it was a recent article that you had on, women in the automotive space and in a male-dominated world specifically.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
So naturally, I feel like, the whole stigma in automotive industry is that we instantly go to, it's definitely a male-dominated field. And I believe, at least culturally here, that is not the case. And, for example, our Canandaigua, New York location, the majority of our shop is operated by females, which is honestly mind-blowing, because
that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have, in fact, our operations manager there happens to also be female. We have a lot of females in leadership roles here. And I like to add, it's, females do pay attention to detail, hence detailing cars. So we do a great job at it, but also just trying to represent the company in an appealing way to females, that it doesn't have to be the whole stigma of only a man can change a tire or a man can clean, detail a car. Why can't we? So making it appealing to females, that other females are also working by your side and doing a great job at it. So
I love it. No, that's fantastic. I can tell you that, again, when I had restaurants, most of my managers were female. I had very few male managers. I thought, the guys listening might not like this, but I thought the women had a better attention to detail. Maybe they were better multitaskers. I don't know, but it just was. So that's pretty incredible. Also in what I do today, anytime I have a couple looking at a franchise, sometimes the woman comes to me first, sometimes the guy comes to me first. And I'll be completely honest, and it might blow some people's minds, but when a man comes to me and I ask if you're married, and I try even harder to make sure that his wife is on the phone next time. And I push really hard on that. When I have the woman, I don't push as hard. If she just wants to do it on her own, great. I know she'll be sharing with her husband. Spouses usually do that. But we know statistically that women make most of the decisions, right?
Yes.
So that is a fact. And if you pay attention, which I know you do, women are making the decisions more than ever. So I love that you have so many female leaders, I guess you can say. Now, are you recruiting to that somehow? Like, are there, posters that say women do it better? No, I'm just kidding. But
that's so funny. Honestly, that really has to do with, recently we have had a lot of new hire candidates just because of friend or family referral. I always say, tell your friends, tell your family we are hiring, because we really need people. The growth here is amazing. And sometimes some of the best referrals come from the inside, which is great. And, we have just, again, an equal amount of male and females in all various types of positions here. So it goes back to, I think that sharing the story is just so impactful. Sharing our story about, our personal growth here as a family business, and then personal stories within the business. I mean, with almost 200 employees, that's 200 families we're supporting. And a lot of people here stay here. I love it. We've become this giant family, and years and years of experience, not just from hearing it from ownership or management is one thing, it's great, but hearing it from, a person who started in operations as a detailer, now he's become an operations manager running our shop. His story about his growth is just, that's really been impactful as far as obtaining new hires as well, just personal growth stories within the company.
That's awesome. And you mentioned, back to fairness and consistency. If you're doing the right things internally, of course, your best source for new employees or future employees is your existing team, because they're going to want their best people working with them, whether they're family or friends or whatever it might be. So, so you don't have any rules like, best friends can't work together?
Well, well, as long as the policies they're following the rules and the policies, I would say that's okay. As long as it's not negatively impacting work, no problem.
No, there are some weird HR policies out there about boyfriends and girlfriends working together. And I always say, look, we just want a great team. Everybody's got to work hard, play hard, have some fun, and that's about it. So what's next for you and the family? So Dad's been doing this 30 years. Who else is in the business? Your brother's in the business.
Yep. So we have my father, obviously, and then my twin brother Zach Mattiacio, who is our SVP of administration. And then my other two brothers, Ryan Mattiacio and Mark Mattiacio. I always say to differentiate them two. Ryan oversees the front end of the store, so sales, customer service, and Mark oversees the operational end. So anything shop related, he oversees all that, which I also like to add that Mark is also a veteran. He was a Marine. He is a Marine. I should say
Awesome.
once more Marine, he'll say. So because of that, because one of our owners is a veteran, we're a big employer and supporter of our local vets as well, which our franchise Ziebart is a huge supporter as well too. So
love it. That's awesome. Well, and I didn't know everybody in the family. All of your brothers are in the business.
Yeah. So as far as business partners, it would be my father, my brothers, and I. And then, believe it or not, my husband. He's not an owner, but he does play a very positive, impactful role here. He's been with us, gosh, how long? 10 years now.
I love it.
So I would say, even if he wasn't my husband, I need him here. He's that guy who is Mr. Fix It, just incredibly smart and talented. So yeah.
That's fabulous.
I'm surrounded.
So the family business question that I'm going to ask, how does it work? How do those dynamics work? So a lot of people say, oh, never, family and business, but why not? It's obviously worked well for you guys. Dad's in charge or you're in charge? How does this work?
It's always Dad's in charge, 100%. He is the decision maker. Working with family, it can definitely be tough, but I'm not lying when I say this. We all truly, really like each other. I think that's key. We all are best friends, even outside of work. We are with each other. This is who we hang out with. So I think just having such an amazing relationship, personally and professionally. Now, it does not mean that there are not tough days or conversations. We know that we won't always be on the same page, but we do strive to understand each other and hear each other and listen to each other's new opinions and ideas, and just make sure that we're putting family first and our employees first.
So where do the newest ideas, like in franchising, there can be a lot of collaboration between franchisor and franchisees. McDonald's, the filet of fish and the Big Mac were created by franchisees. Is there a mechanism within Ziebart where, longtime franchisees or high-performing franchisees like your family have an extra seat at the table to have conversations with Ziebart? How does that work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I do know that, that's not always something that I'm consistently a part of, just because it's not really my wavelength within the company. But
you're doing the hard stuff. You're focusing on the people, right?
Well, recently, I was able to travel to Detroit and be a part of a meeting there, which was amazing because I was able to really firsthand again witness headquarters with other franchise owners around the country, which I thought was just so amazing, because that's where, headquarters would bring new ideas to the table, but also hear every single franchise owner as well, whether you are a brand new franchise owner or a longtime franchise owner with a lot of success. It's just so important that they do that. And I couldn't believe how much I learned just from being a part of a table like that. Amazing. And it was really amazing to witness, like, just the ability to be heard and hear and learn from other franchise owners. Just being able to bounce ideas off each other is so critical. And I love that about being a part of a franchise, because that's so important, being able to talk and collaborate firsthand with other franchisees in their experiences and being able to help new ones too.
Absolutely. I mean, common goal, common language. You all are doing the exact same thing, just in your own respective towns. So
Right.
that's one of the big pieces I love about franchising.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Megan, you are fantastic. What are your any final thoughts or words of wisdom for people out there that might be interested in a franchise? They're not sure, should they start their own business? Should they do a franchise? Well, you've been on the hard part, hard side of things, so to speak, dealing with the people and seeing what dad's done for 30 years. You've been in it 11 years. What say you?
I would say, if you're looking to pursue a franchise, the first thing that comes to mind is just don't make any impulsive decisions. Like just like with any new business, you need to evaluate yourself first and foremost to determine if you and your financial situation are ready and capable of this. It's a long time commitment. It's once you start and you open a franchise or join, it doesn't end. You have to understand that it is a long-term business commitment, and to
like having a kid.
Correct. Exactly. I think of these locations as all 9 kids. It's crazy that you just said that, but to increase your chances of success, you have to take the time to explore and evaluate your business goals, your personal goals, and just make sure that you are getting into a business relationship with people that you trust. And for us, Ziebart headquarters, we have the brand loyalty. We can say now for over 30 years, they have held our hand and walked through this success process every step of the way. So just know that you're not in it alone, although it feels that way. Truly, there is a foundation and a platform set, and take the risk for sure.
My perfect, it's not my quote, but it's the quote that we've all heard. You're in business for yourself, not by yourself.
Exactly. 100%.
Megan, thank you so much. You were awesome. Thanks for being here, and I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for listening today. Please like, follow, and subscribe. This is Lance Graulich. Until next time.